You have about 30 seconds before we lock and load. Go top off your coffee and get ready for the Gunsmiths. The Gunsmiths are brought to you by Williams Gun Sight. Have questions about what's new in the market? What your gun is worth? The latest laws and regulations? Call the Gunsmiths at 810-743-8255, 743-8255. And now, your Gunsmiths, Jonathan and Jacob Smith.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. You happy to be here?
I'm happy to be here.
We made it. We didn't get blown away last night. That's a good thing. In, I guess, a lot of ways. We do live near Flint, so you got to be careful. But it is the Gunsmith Show time, and we got a good show for you today. It's Saturday morning, the 20th of February.
Yes, February.
Yeah, I was thinking it wasn't February.
March.
I've been looking at March and April's calendar so much. There is so much going on this spring. It's hard to believe. We have got just events coming up regarding guns. There's a lot of people excited. Tomorrow's the beginning of the CPL classes at the Flushing Rifle and Pistol Club. And I've been getting all kinds of texts from people getting ready to go to that. So that's going to be exciting for Alan and the crew out there. And Jake, what have you been up to, buddy?
Getting ready for this week's show.
Yes. Well, we're excited. It's always fun getting ready for the Gunsmith Show.
We had some exciting news this past week. We were contacted by the company. It's actually called the New Automag Company. That's what the name of the company is, the New Automag. And they're working on producing brand new automags in South Carolina.
Awesome.
And we are on the list.
Sounds like South Carolina is going to become a new hub for ammunition and gun manufacturing.
I think between North and South Carolina, because there's two states there.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I think between those two and what they've done for taxes, it's drawing a lot of manufacturing there.
Well, it's better than
the
going
firearms
south
industry.
of the border, you know?
Well, yeah. So we're looking forward to that. That's probably the biggest news that we've gotten this week.
Yes.
Our website's almost. We got the email from it saying it will be this coming week.
Yes. I got a chance to preview it. It's going to be. It's nice. It's going to work good and smooth. You're going to be able to buy your gear on there. You'll be able to buy your Gunsmith shirts and mugs, and we got some new tumblers
Coffee
coming.
mugs, tumblers,
11-ounce
for all of you that drink something a little stronger than coffee in the mornings.
Hey, you might.
There's the tumbler.
Pour your orange juice in it. You never know.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, orange juice.
You can show off some of your Gunsmith Show gear. And thanks for everybody listening on the web, on WFNT.com, or if you're listening to us on Radio Pup. This is the Gunsmith Show, talking about responsible gun ownership right here in the U.S. of A. And we are coming to you live from Flint, Michigan, at the studios, the lavish studios of WFNT, Flint's News Talk. Exactly. Now, you got to have a couple ways to get a hold of us, and one of them is you can get us toll-free at 866-533-1530.
Yes.
Or
810-743-8255.
Very good.
Now, you can always send us an email online, shooter@thegss.com. And also, we're on Facebook, The Gunsmith Show, and we're on Twitter. You can follow us there. It's at Gunsmiths Show.
Now, I did put out a post this morning on Facebook saying, if you like us on Facebook, we're going to send you a coffee mug. So all we need is your name and address, and you can message us on that or email it to us on shooter@thegss.
That's right.
And we'll make sure we get a brand new Gunsmith Show coffee mug right in the mail to you. So it only takes a few days to get them, too. They ship out pretty quickly. Now, last week's show on the Gunsmith Show, we got a chance to talk about the E-Tronics from Remington. Now, the E-Tronics is kind of interesting. It was the electronic firing program by Remington, which electronically lit the primers. Interesting concept. You know, I wouldn't want to have this thing out in like a heavy static electrical storm, because those Remingtons occasionally go off. So you got to be careful. But it was 9-volt battery powered. It was interesting talk. It had its day. It went away. I'm sure there's similar devices used today in military items and stuff, but none that we can talk about, or they'll, CIA will be all over us. So, but it was cool. We got to talk about that, and we got to talk a little bit about the SHOT Show.
We did. We talked about some of the new and interesting things out of the SHOT Show,
which is the
shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade show.
There you go, out in Vegas, and a lot of our good friends were out there and had a great time. Looking forward to going, and we just didn't make it this year. I was I heard you got to walk miles and miles and miles when you go there, and I was
You got to fly there first.
yeah, I was in a cast and still am on my right leg, so I'm not able to get out there and do what I wanted to do. So, but that's okay. But this week,
Yeah, this week's going to be a good show. We're going to talk about gun terms and some different words, and a little bit of a comparison of some words too.
really,
What you're saying and what you should be saying.
now you're not gonna say, let's go to the range. I want to bust some cats
Yeah.
out of my gack.
No,
You
yeah,
don't
we
know
don't
that-
say stuff like that.
No.
That's the next station over.
Oh,
Now, also, we're going to talk about a failed experiment in Maryland revolving gun registrations.
well, most gun registrations are failed unless they,
This one's 15 years in the making.
foolishness.
Some time at the range. Also, we're going to talk about the new Savage Model 42 Takedown.
All right.
But before we get too far into it, it's always that time of the show where we pick 5 used guns at WilliamsGunSite.com. This week you picked them,
I did.
so
And
they're kind of boring.
hey, if you need to take a nap, now's the time. No, but WilliamsGunSite.com, of course, is the website of choice. I mean, all across America, people are talking about this website because you can order you find a used gun on there. You can purchase it right online and have it shipped to your local FFL dealer.
Yep.
But I'm telling you what, there is amazing guns you can find on this website. And what I wanted to do when looking at WilliamsGunSite.com on Friday afternoon was I looked through this list, literally thousands of guns, and I wanted to pick 5 guns that I felt would go up in value. Okay? 5 guns that I thought had a uniqueness to them or an ability to just go to a higher price. Okay,
Sure.
That's my main thoughts. Because some people look at these as investments, and maybe that's the wrong way to look at guns. You should look at them for fun and what you can do with them. But I'm going to tell you that these 5 guns I've picked, they are all beautiful. I wouldn't kick any of them out of bed. They are really, really, really good guns. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to start with, how about an Auto Ordnance 1927? Now, let me explain this a little bit to you. The 1927 A1 is a 45 ACP Tommy gun pistol. Okay, there's no buttstock. It is a pistol. It has a 10.5-inch barrel.
Technically a handgun. We'll discuss that later.
It is a handgun. and yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. But it is quite a piece. Now, this thing has, like I said, 10.5-inch barrel, blued finish, wood grips, fore and aft in boat terms. But your fore end and your grip are wood. And it has a case, which is a case guard case that comes with it. A nice case. It comes with 1 stick magazine.
Are those
which
30
is-
rounds?
I think it's a 20 rounder.
20 rounders?
And it has the manual. And this thing looks beautiful. Its price is $949.
For a Thompson
Pistol.
handgun.
Quite a gun.
Huh.
Quite a gun.
Can you put those 100-round drums on it?
I think you could.
Really?
Or whatever they are, 45-round drums or 55-round drums. Or I don't know if they're 100-rounders.
Pretty sure they had 50 and 100-round drums.
I don't know. They're big. Now,
It's a lot of reloading from one trip to the range.
Again, these are all at WilliamsGunSite.com. Gun number 2, another beauty, a Colt King Cobra. Now, this was the Python-looking stainless steel version of a less expensive Python. Okay.
Okay.
The King Cobra I had a 6-inch. I loved it. I talked one of my friends into buying this exact gun, and back when they were $475, he bought it. Well, now this one in 357 Magnum, of course, which was the only version I believe for the King Cobra, stainless steel, 4-inch, $1,295.
Holy cow.
So if you bought this, I mean, literally just 15 years ago, you could buy these for $475. And I actually got my first one for $300 25 years ago. And $1,295. That's pretty good.
You know, we could do a whole show really
Investment.
on prices 15 years ago versus today.
Right. And who knows what they're going to be in the future. But these are beautiful guns. Good trigger work on them. They come with a factory, like a Pockmeyer grip.
Yes.
With finger grooves in them. But they had the gold. They had the gold Colt logo
On the grips.
medallion right in the grip. So very nice gun. And number three.
Number 3, this is a Kimber.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when I discussed this last night with some folks, they said, you put Kimber on the list? I said, I'm going to tell you what. Kimber makes some very, very fine 45s. And this Kimber, the version I'm talking about today, is just one of many they have on their website on williamsgunsite.com for sale. This is a Kimber Super Carry. Now, it's a 5-inch 1911. This is a dual
And
tone.
now, is this the blued slide?
Blued slide.
Or blackened
It's
slide
got the
and the
aluminum
aluminum-
lightweight frame.
Yep.
That's got the bob tail on it. It's got the fish scale
Yes.
checkering on it. These guns, this one even has night sights, 2 mags in the box.
45 ACP.
I'm telling you what, this is one of the finest 45s you can hold in your hand, as far as I'm concerned. And I check out a lot of 45s. This is a nice one, especially if you want to carry a 1911. The weight is good on it. The barrel length is good. You got night sights. It's kind of like everything you need. $1,095. Now these guns, just so you know, this gun actually retails for about $1,500 to $1,600, especially with those night sights. And this one being $1,095 is certainly a bargain with everything that comes with it too. So again, our thoughts today on WilliamsGunSite.com's gun list: guns that are the value is gonna go up. I think.
Well, number 4, and I think you're right on this one. This is a Ruger 2245 Mark III.
So this is just your 22 pistol. Nice gun. This one's a little different though.
I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to read off the price first, and then we'll explain what's in it.
Okay.
All right. Ruger Mark III 2245, which the purpose of the 2245 was a 22 pistol with the same weight and feel of a 1911 for training.
Right.
So,
And the grip angle,
grip's
everything was the same.
Now, its price is $329.
Okay.
It's matte blue,
Yes, it's got a matte finish. There's nothing shiny on this gun.
threaded barrel, which was this a 3-inch threaded barrel?
Yes, it's a shorter barrel.
3-inch threaded barrel, comes in a box, manual, with its own zippered case, 2 mags, but from the factory, it has the full-length rail on top of the handgun
On top of the receiver
and on the bottom for lasers
and the bottom of the
or
barrel.
flashlight or laser or whatever it is for.
And it has a threaded muzzle protector.
Yes.
That's knurled and goes on there. So the gun is completely set up for silencer use.
Yes.
And these are just precise guns. I love Ruger Mark IIs and Mark IIIs, 2245s. These guns are, in my estimation, I would say they are the finest 22 pistols you can buy. And this one at $329 is certainly a bargain. So you can tell I got a little passion in that one. And remember, all these can be yours. They're for sale right now at WilliamsGunSite.com. And number 5. This one intrigued me because
I thought this was a rifle until I read a little further.
this is a TC Contender. Now, the Thompson Center Company makes the TC Contenders. These are single-shot break-top guns, beautiful handguns. These are single-shot. A lot of people use them for silhouette shooting. A lot of people use them for varmint hunting, even deer hunting, though. This one is in .30-30 caliber. So this is your monster handgun. Okay, so a .30-30 Thompson Contender. This is called the Super 14. It has a 14-inch barrel. This one is
It's a glorified handgun, if I can say.
It is a big boy. Now,
topped with a Redfield 4-power scope.
yes, and it is a extended eye relief scope. Now, here's the crazy part. If you've ever wanted to get into a Contender, they can be pretty pricey, but they're good guns. I mean, these are single-shot tack drivers. I know a lot of people that varmint hunt with these, shooting prairie dogs and stuff at long yardages, and .30-30 is pretty inexpensive, powerful round to shoot, and you can hand load them wonderfully. You can load a .30-30 down all the way to a 110 grain bullet and have a lot of fun with it. So, with the Redfield scope, this Thompson Contender is only $499. So, go to WilliamsGunSite.com, check out the used guns, click on the used gun tab, and you'll be amazed at some of the deals there right now. Just literally amazing. And you want some amazement, take some of this beautiful Saturday out and go out and check out Williams Gun Sight Company at Lapeer and Irish Road. You'll be glad you did. Brand new showroom, looking great, and getting ready to open up side 2. So the whole new wing is about ready to open. But that indoor range is pretty phenomenal, too. So get out and see them. Tell them the Gunsmith Show sent you. You'll be glad you went out there.
All right. Well, we have to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're talking about different firearms terms.
Yes.
And what you can learn from just listening.
Just listening to who?
Just listen.
Okay. All right, I'll listen. All right, hang on. We'll be right back.
Man's got to know his limitations.
You just can't spend a whole day at the gun store anymore.
Thankfully, the crew at Williams Gun Sight Company has created the best way to spend the day at the gun store by doing it online.
WilliamsGunsight.com is the way to shop for your used handguns, rifles, shotguns, and more, with thousands of guns in stock for your total gun shopping experience.
Check out WilliamsGunsight.com and find your perfect match today.
Do you have a project that requires custom cabinetry or custom woodwork? If so, you need to see the friendly and knowledgeable sales team at Michigan Lumber Company. For years, the experienced staff at Michigan Lumber have been turning out beautifully handcrafted molding and custom millwork right here in the Flint area. And believe me, they're totally dedicated to quality and complete customer satisfaction. So call 810-232-4108, 232-4108, or log on to MichiganLumber.com. Michigan Lumber Company, proudly serving the Flint and surrounding communities for over 90 years. That's experience you can count on.
Attorney Timothy J. Cassidy is the pro-gun attorney that we here at the Gunsmith Show use.
With more than 20 years of experience as a prosecuting attorney, law professor, and holding a past seat on the Genesee County Gun Board,
Tim Cassidy is your pro-gun attorney.
contact Attorney Cassidy today at 810-569-5441 or email him at attorneycassidy@gmail.com.
And now, back to the Gunsmiths.
All right, we got all kinds of stuff going on. The phone's going off. We got good conversations going on here in the studio. I hope you got that coffee filled up. And remember to like us on Facebook, The Gunsmith Show, and we'll get you a coffee mug in the mail. All right, sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I love to ship them things out. And then we always get nice pictures back afterwards. I put a picture on my Facebook page this morning of my coffee mug full of coffee sitting next to my concealed carry piece. So, but anyways, Jake, what's going on today, man? What's the show about? This is the Gunsmith Show.
Well, today on the Gunsmith Show, we're going to talk about some different key terms in the gun industry today.
Key terms.
Key terms.
All right.
And it can be everything. We've always talked about the difference between magazine and clip.
Yes.
Carbine and carbine. In all reality, we know what you're talking about.
Right.
The people that go through and specifically attack people that have the wrong wording.
Oh, on discussion pages and such. Yeah, it's cruel. Just because you know something doesn't mean that you have to flaunt it and rub it in other people's faces.
Exactly.
We try to be pretty down to earth here on this show. I mean, we're a father and son team, so, if it gets bad, we just smack each other around. You know how that goes.
Well, so the first term I want to talk about today is the difference between accuracy and precision.
And this came up. We've been talking about doing a show about terms,
Right.
Because it's important.
And then I saw that Guns and Ammo. This was actually an old Guns and Ammo article that popped up this past week, and I thought, well, it's a perfect way to describe it.
Right, it is. So we want to give credit.
So
some of this credit.
Both
to
terms are used
lighting the fire
in really all aspects of shooting, from handguns to rifles to shotguns.
What
Accuracy and precision.
Accuracy and precision. So those are the two terms.
Those are the two terms I'm talking about right now.
Words.
However, both describe two complete different aspects of shooting at a target. So, accuracy would be considered the measurement of the ability of the shooter to consistently hit the target. You're accurate. Yes, every shot's hitting the target.
Okay.
You're accurate. While precision would be the placement of where you're hitting the target.
Okay.
And I've got 4 examples here to explain to everybody kind of the difference, and you'll see after you listen to these.
So if you have an accurate gun,
Doesn't necessarily mean you're precise.
okay, all right,
And it's hard to be precise. Well, you'll get it here. Just hang on.
okay,
So 4 examples. The first one, a rifleman fires 4 shots at the target. They're scattered across the target. No four near each other. No four near the center of the target.
No pattern.
No pattern.
He
They're just
he just hits
spray
paper.
and pray.
Okay.
Neither accurate. This is neither accuracy or precision. It's not an example of either.
Okay.
Number 2, rifleman fires 4 shots at the target. All 4 shots are touching. They're all 4 touching each other. Yet, they're all at the top left part of the target. This is precision shooting. All 4 shots are touching each other.
Right.
But it's not accurate. You're not hitting the center of the target.
Okay.
Now, if you're aiming at the top left, yeah, you're perfect. Don't worry. Now, number 3. Yeah, I was aiming up there. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a fly
adjusting
and I
for
killed
windage.
Then I wanted to make sure it was dead with the other 3 shots.
Yes.
Anyways.
Number 3, fires 4 shots at the target, hits near the center of the target. However, it's a wide group. Wide group. You're near the center of the target, but you're still out in that outer ring all over. It's accurate. You're near the center, but not precise. It's a wide group. And then your perfect combination would be this. Your 4 shots, tight 4-shot group, hits the bullseye of the target. That is accuracy and precision all in one. All
Okay.
4 shots hit the target, center of the target, and they're all close together and touching. That's a combination of accuracy and precision. So, you can be you can say a rifle is very accurate. Well, typically the rifle is precise, the shooter is accurate.
Okay.
Make sense?
All right. Makes sense. If the rifle shoots precise, it depends on the shooter to make it accurate.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Because, honestly, with guns and gun technology the way it is today, the way these guns are made, the way they come from the factory tested, shoot good, very seldom do we get one that doesn't work right.
Right.
Usually it's the mechanical aspects of a semi-auto, but your bolt actions, most of them are tack drivers.
Yep, they most are.
And I know we've been impressed. Even our bolt action shotguns, cloverleafing at 100 yards, that's precise shooting, even out of a shotgun, which is something that 25 years ago we would have never thought we'd have that accurate of a shotgun. Shooting out to 200 yards, with the way things are in shotgun hunting here in Michigan especially. But now, with the change in, I think, just good guns, we're not seeing as many military guns we're not seeing the military, 2-groove barrels that are coming out and people are trying to shoot accurately with them. We're seeing new guns now, right?
We are seeing new guns that are coming out inherently precise.
Yes. And we got some right now we're getting ready to start talking about. So not today, but we've got a new one we're going to be broadcasting about very shortly.
All right, here's the next 2 terms to think of. Pistol versus handgun.
Okay.
Ah, see? Now you're
Pistol
thinking.
versus handgun.
Pistol versus handgun. Is a pistol only semi-auto? Is a pistol different than a revolver? Well, listen to this. If you go to the NRA Firearms source book, you can actually see the terms and actual NRA reference terms as to what firearms terms mean. Now, a pistol is a generic term for a handheld firearm,
Okay.
and it's often used more specifically to refer to a single-shot revolver or semi-auto handgun. That's exactly out of their firearm. That's their definition for pistol.
And the way you read that, it sounded like a single-shot revolver. That's not what he's saying.
No, that's not
A
what I said. I said
single-shot
a single shot, a revolver, or a semi-auto handgun.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure it came out right.
The-
Now, so that's the word pistol.
That's what pistol means out of their dictionary.
Okay.
Now, Samuel Colt actually referred to his first revolver as a revolving pistol. So, and pistol dates all the way back to the end of the 16th century when they were first doing black powder work, and it was considered a pistol. Now, handgun is a new term. Handgun's a relatively new term since the end of the 1800s into the end of the 19th century into the 20th century.
Okay.
It's a newer term. It's a gun for the hand. maybe at the time people were saying, well, what's a pistol? What's a pistol?
Maybe.
It's a gun for the hand. It's a handgun. So technically, over the long run, everything's a pistol. It's always been referred to as a pistol. Maybe handgun is just the slang word for pistol.
I personally like calling them handguns, but pistol has always been one of those words that gets defined. Is a pistol a revolver or is a pistol a semi-auto? I used to think that a pistol was only a semi-auto, and that a revolver was the revolving pistol. But hey, now you've even made it more muddied the water.
Yeah. And here's another one that muddy the waters. If anybody asks the difference between a shell and a shot shell,
Yes.
what's a shell? What's a shot shell?
Okay.
All right. A shell is actually the term for any spent casing from a handgun, a rifle, or a shotgun. That is a shell. Any spent casing. Now, a shot shell. Technically, a shot shell is a loaded round of shotgun ammunition that contains pellets, not a slug.
Interesting. Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
A shell is an empty casing from either a handgun, rifle, or a shotgun. A shot shell is a term for any loaded round of shotgun ammunition that contains pellets.
All right. Good. That's interesting.
Make sense?
Yep. Sure does.
All right.
Professor Jake.
Yep. These have been words of wisdom.
Yeah. Let's talk about this next one.
Yeah. Okay. What makes the gauge of a shotgun?
This is one of the ones that people ask a lot. Even young kids. Back when we used to explain gun safety to Cub Scouts, kids would ask these questions. Go ahead.
All right. Now, you've heard of a 12, a 20, and maybe even you've heard of a 16 gauge. Maybe.
Of course.
Now, there's also a 10 gauge and a 28 gauge.
Yes.
But have you ever heard of a 68 gauge?
What?
Yeah.
A
See?
68 gauge?
Now, we don't know it's a 68 gauge because it doesn't go by that.
What does it go by?
It goes by a 410 bore. So your 410 shotguns.
But Professor Jake, what is this?
Don't question the professor.
Yes.
You're
yes,
going to
sir.
flunk.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Shut off his microphone at any time. The 68 gauge is actually known as the 410 shotgun because, for some reason, maybe 410 is easier to say than 68. But if you think about it, wasn't it 68 caliber, the old muzzle loaders?
Yes.
Maxi balls? No, 68s were the big ones, the
68
Brown
big
Bess.
ones. The big ones that used in the Civil War.
Yeah. Now, the 410 is actually named for its bore size or caliber, like a 30 caliber, and this is a 410.
So it's called a 410 bore, is what it's called.
Exactly.
Yes.
And maybe so. Should we push to have it changed
To 68 gauge?
to 68 gauge? I don't think so because
You get too
a
confusing.
410 you can have as a handgun because it's a caliber. You start calling these things 68 gauge shotguns, you get into some legal discrepancies because
All those judge
judge and the governors.
yes.
You
And you
see
know
what I'm saying?
and I can see
You listening to the professor?
yeah, yes, sir. Now, your 410 gauge or 410 bore, and it's always been one of those discrepancies. I grew up with a 410 in the house, and my father had one for years. My brother had one, and that question had been asked several times, and I always knew that it was called a 410 bore, not a shot. It wasn't a shotgun. It was a 410 bore. Now, interesting though that it was a 68 gauge, and discuss the dimensions of the bullets and what they mean. This is cool.
Yes. Now, if you think about it, a caliber is a 22 or a 30 caliber. You kind of get an idea of the size of the bullet.
Right. They're just dimensions of an inch.
Right.
But let's say
Now let's say this: if you had a 12 gauge and it became a rifle, 12 gauge would be considered a 73 caliber.
ouch.
Right.
Like a 700 Nitro Express, only bigger.
Basically,
Yes.
only it's a 12 gauge. 10 gauge would be a 77 caliber. 16 gauge would be a 66 caliber. 20 gauge would be a 62 caliber. 28 gauge is 55 caliber. And of course the 410 is a 410 caliber or
Interesting.
410 bore. Now, when we come back from break, I want to talk about how we got the 12, 10, 16, 20, 28, how we got those numbers.
Yeah, this is an interesting talk as well.
Yes.
So hang on tight, folks. We're going to go to commercial break, but we'll be back with more of the Gunsmith Show.
It's open. The brand new state-of-the-art indoor gun range at Williams Gun Sight. The only public indoor range in Genesee County. 12 shooting lanes, rated for pistol and rifle. Range memberships available, and they have everything you need for shooting. With over 5,000 guns in stock and every accessory imaginable. If you're a shooter or you want to know more about shooting, Williams Gun Sight is the place. On Lapeer Road, just west of Irish and Davison. Open 9 till 6 Monday through Saturday, 10 till 5 Sundays. The indoor range is open at Williams Gun Sight. Come shoot at the range.
If you want your home to feel sound when you are not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
And now back to the Gunsmiths.
All right. Well, hey, you know what we're having some fun. We got some Facebook stuff going on too, so it's a lot of fun with the Gunsmith Show. Remember, like us on Facebook, The Gunsmith Show. Want to get those likes up there and want to get our listening audience drinking out of coffee mugs from the Gunsmith Show. And we got one, Jacob's
We've
arranging
got one
right
going
now.
out to Bill. Bill in Flint.
There you go. Bill, we'll get that out to you. We're
Yep.
probably going to need a last name on that, too, aren't we?
I've got his last name.
You got it all set? Okay. Very good. And thanks to Michelle for following up on that. Now, Jacob, we're talking about shotgun bores and
Yep.
and the size, the caliber that a shotgun would be had it been a caliber as opposed to a bore. But why do we use gauge? And this is an interesting
There's
discussion.
been I've heard many different ways that this has been judged over the years, but as a whole, they've all revolved around lead.
Okay.
Now,
That's kind of a hot subject here around Flint,
yes.
unfortunately.
How much lead comes out of the water?
Well,
Now, the reason we have gauge, back in the early days of barrel manufacturing, there was really no easy standardized way for measurements. So the best way for them to judge what size to make the firearms, how they would make a sphere of lead that fit in the end of the barrel.
yeah.
How many of those lead spheres would it take to make a pound? See where I'm going
a
at
fraction.
here?
What fraction of a pound
So
does that lead ball weigh?
a 12 gauge. It is a 12 gauge because that lead ball is 1/12 of a pound.
Very good.
A 10 gauge, 1/10 of a pound. The 4 gauge, 1/4 of a pound.
So we could be calling it it could be instead of gauge, it might even be an ounce. We could call it I'm going to go out and shoot my
12 ouncer.
Yeah. 12 ounce would be huge. If a 12 gauge is 1/12 of a pound.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
It'd be like my 2.5 ouncer, or whatever. So it
Yes.
would, or whatever. My point is, who'd ever thought to make the name gauge? It's pretty interesting. I always think
No.
of gauge as railroad tracks. The different gauges of railroad tracks. But
It's a gauge of the metal.
there you go.
Now, a 28 gauge, 1/28 of a pound.
Interesting.
And a 410, like we mentioned before, would be the 1/68th of a pound.
So if you
a
had
68 gauge
to
shotgun.
get, so just to simplify, you would need
68 410 size lead balls to make a pound.
right. And a 12
You would
gauge, you would
need
only need
12.
Yeah. And a 28, you'd need 28.
Right.
Very interesting. So that hopefully that simplifies it a little bit and lets you understand why they are named what they are named. Now, if you want to know why a 308 is a 308, hello, a 308 is we're talking calibers. That's
And
the
you're
difference.
muddying the waters because we're talking about shotguns.
Well, yeah, but not now. We're done talking about shotguns. I'm all done talking about
we
shotguns.
have a shotgun we're talking about.
We do? Well, it's a half shotgun.
Finish your topic on 308 and we'll move on.
308 diameter of the bullet.
0.308 of an inch.
is your diameter of your 30 caliber bullet.
Yes.
Okay.
7.62.
Yeah, there you go. Now, and just say, a 22 is
0.22.
right. Exactly. So now, Jake wants to talk about a new shotgun.
Yeah, it's a new shotgun. Well, it's a new
an
take on an old shotgun.
Yeah, it's an old shotgun. Interesting old gun. And the squirrel
And
hunters.
I bet there are a lot of people out there listening who have
These guns.
this gun, or maybe not this exact one, but one very much like it.
Right. And we're talking about an old Savage.
Well, it's an old Savage that's coming back out.
Right.
Originally, these were called the Savage Model 24s.
Yes.
Then they came back out with them and called them the 42s. Now they have the 42 Takedown. Now, what are these? These are your
Over and under.
over and under combination rifle, where on top there's two barrels. The top barrel is a 22 caliber barrel. The bottom is a 410 bore barrel.
There you go.
It's not a 410 gauge.
So this was
410
always
bore barrel.
one of those guns that we always thought was very smart for squirrel hunting. You try to shoot the squirrel with the 22,
Well, very smart.
but when
to
it takes
have-
off running, use the 410 and you get them.
to have one firearm that does both.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could bird hunt with this.
Sure, you could. There's people that probably go out and shoot skeet with it, or trap.
Or you're really quick. You get 22 shot shells in the top one and
Yeah.
410 bird shot in the bottom.
You'd have to be
you
very
can try and shoot. I'd love to see someone shoot skate with 22 shot shells. That would be
different.
Now, okay, this is the Savage Model 42 Takedown. So it's a break open action, just like a double barrel shotgun, over
Yes.
and under. Opens up with a push of a lever, it cracks in half. Now,
These are pretty lightweight
something
guns.
interesting before we get too far. Savage has dropped the Indian face logo.
No.
It is now a fancy S.
Really?
Yep. So
You
save
know-
those old Savage logos. That one seems to be gone.
Thank you, Democratic senators, for stopping that atrocity of Indian faces. Boy, we appreciate that a lot. The Savage line has been out for 100 and some odd years with the Savage Indian face
I
on
know.
the side.
I know.
Wow.
Maybe they call it the nice one and they put the Indian face back on it.
I don't know.
Now, this is, of course, like I said, the newer version. And you have two caliber options in the 22. You can either have a 22 long rifle in 410, or you can have 22 Magnum WMRs, 22 Magnum upper barrel and a 410 lower barrel.
Boy, that would be a good coyote gun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
16-inch barrels. Now, they're available in both a takedown or a standard version. Synthetic stocks, the black plastic
Yeah, the
Savage
black
stocks.
and red. It's kind of
A little flashy.
yeah, it's kind of. I think
all
it's
right.
kind of cheesy looking. I like to see the wood on the old Savages, but it might really be attractive to younger crowds. I don't know.
Now, for
I'm not
all
the
you
younger
Savage
crowd anymore.
fans, all you people out there that have Savage rifles and know how good they shoot,
Yeah.
this does not have the Accu trigger,
Okay. Now,
which is a very nice trigger Savage has.
have you been able to determine where this gun's manufactured?
No, but I have a feeling it's somewhere across the ocean.
I'm thinking it's a Turkish gun, but I'm not positive. If we can get a clarification on that, if any listeners are out there right now, any guys from Williams, let me know if you know where the Model 42 is made. That Savage Model 42.
Now, you have 20-inch barrels.
Yes.
Weight is just about 6 pounds.
Okay. And this is the takedown model, so it's pretty cool.
It is. And there's a little button on the side of the receiver. You push it.
Comes apart, goes
The
in
gun
the little case.
comes right apart with the push of a button. It's that simple.
Interesting.
And when I say simple iron sights, I mean
They're kind of crude.
simple
Yeah.
iron sights.
Right.
Now, this is not intended to be a precise.
No.
How do I word this the proper way, not offend people?
It's not.
This rifle, I don't consider this rifle.
You're not going to take it to the national matches.
This is more of a plinking around the farm rifle.
Yep. And it would be good for shooting that coyote that's trying to get the chickens.
Yep.
It'd be good for shooting that groundhog that's been tearing up your
Yes.
shed. All done responsibly, of course. So pretty cool, though. It comes with a little Uncle Mike's carrying case.
Yep.
And the MSRP is really, it's not bad on this. MSRP is $500, but we know they sell for less than that.
Yes.
So nice guns. In an interesting piece. Is it, would you put the 10-22 away and grab the Savage? Well, if you needed a combination rifle, if you need to dispatch an animal that's been wounded or something and you just need a single shot 22, it'd be perfect. if you need to get that 410 out and take care of that possum that's running around in the hayloft, it might be just the perfect gun.
There you go.
So, anyways, good thoughts on that one. So what else is new?
That's the Savage Model 42 takedown. Give it a shot. If you have one, let us know. Send us a picture on our Facebook page at The Gunsmith Show.
Okay.
Or send us an email, shooter@thegss.com.
Very good.
Now, on to a failed government program. Man, those words always seem to go together, don't they? So, a failed government program in Maryland, 15 years in the making.
Well, we've
15 years ago, Maryland decided they're going to try ballistic fingerprinting.
right.
Now, they tried it at the same time as New York. And I'll get to the New York one in a second here. Now, this is basically, you know when you buy a handgun and it's got that little pouch in there and it's got an extra
One extra shell
spent
in
casing in there?
there. Well, if you lived in Maryland, you had to turn those in.
You had to turn that in
And
along with
register
New
your-
York.
registering your handgun, you had to turn those shells in.
And the intention, I'm sure started off with a good idea, was that every time a handgun was used in a crime, especially those revolvers, they leave spent cases everywhere. Every time a handgun was used in a crime, there'd be spent casings on the ground.
Right. It was supposed to be
state police would pick 'em up.
It's supposed to be the fingerprinting of how the primer hits.
Yes.
To match your gun and the expansion of your shell in your chamber.
So and every different handgun could leave its own specific mark and be tracked down and say, hey, so and so has this Smith & Wesson M&P in .40 caliber, and he lives here. Go arrest him. Well, after 15 years, there's an estimated 300,000 of these spent cartridges, these casings, in the custody of the Maryland State Police, and they've actually never ever been used to successfully solve a crime.
I believe that.
Never ever.
Think of how many man hours were put into this.
Well,
How much waste and how many bureaucracies are created around this that have been wasted on this one.
now this is right from the Baltimore Sun newspaper. By 2015, $5 million had been wasted on this project.
That's probably a
That's a very small amount of money in the Maryland government. However, in efforts to cut wasteful spending, not their own retirements, but wasteful spending, the Maryland government decided to stop this. There's no more ballistic fingerprinting needed because it's never worked. It's never worked. Now, when I said New York actually signed this a few days after Maryland did 15 years ago. But of course, New York's numbers quickly got higher. They were wasting far more than $5 million,
I couldn't imagine.
and they canceled it in 2012. George Pataki, Republican governor of New York, signed it into law, and in 2012 they canceled it.
Interesting.
Now, there's many different reasons that over the long run this would not work, from the ease of switching barrels. Different ammo manufacturers leave different imprints on cases. Different magazines.
Slightly modifying your chamber.
There's
Talk-
all little things that can make this change.
Right.
And all of them causing the ballistic fingerprinting to be unreliable and unusable in the long run. So is it an example of a failed government program to not regulate firearms, but to, well, in theory, it makes perfect sense. It's easy. We can take the casing and find whoever shot the gun. But anybody that's familiar with firearms knows that doesn't work that way.
There's
There's
the
millions of cases.
guns, millions of cases. The chances of a duplication are very, very high. And you can go to the
Exactly.
range and shoot 20 shells out of your gun. And when you look at where your firing pin hits,
They're all different.
They're all different in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
They're not ever identical. It was poor technology thinking in the beginning. So, it kind of reminds me back to that failed show now called, what was it called?
Detroit 187.
Detroit 187, when they were looking for casings in Detroit on a bridge, on an overpass, and they said, well, go find the shells out of the gun so we can find out what gun was used. And they found like 12 different kinds of shells on that bridge because there was so much shooting on that bridge. So it just kind of, I've never understood it, and I've literally thrown them away out of every box I get with a handgun that has those shells in it. I just discard them. I usually throw them into the reloads and reuse those cases. But as a whole, I think it's another useless thing that they tried to do. That they, honestly, a pencil pusher decided that was, a brilliant way to track down criminals.
A senator.
More than likely. All right. Well, hey, we got to go to commercial break.
When we come back, we're going to get in some range time.
Yeah, we want to talk about what we shot in this week and last week. And so hang on tight. We'll be right back with more of the Gunsmith Show.
Do you have a project that requires custom cabinetry or custom woodwork? If so, you need to see the friendly and knowledgeable sales team at Michigan Lumber Company. For years, the experienced staff at Michigan Lumber have been turning out beautifully
Now, I'm getting all kinds
handcrafted
of
molding
notes
and custom millwork right here in the Flint area. And believe me, they're totally dedicated to quality and complete customer satisfaction. So call 810-232-4108, 232-4108, or log on to MichiganLumber.com. Michigan Lumber Company, proudly serving the Flint and surrounding communities for over 90 years. That's experience you can count on.
If you want your home to feel sound when you are not around, call Pal Alarm. To protect your safekeepings and stop anyone from peeking, call Pal Alarm. When the house gets locked down so you can get out of town, call Pal Alarm. Give Pal Alarm a call today at 810-908-8298. That's 810-908-8298 or palalarm.com.
Attorney Timothy J. Cassidy is the pro-gun attorney that we here at the Gunsmith Show use.
With more than 20 years of experience as a prosecuting attorney, law professor, and holding a past seat on the Genesee County Gun Board,
Tim Cassidy is your pro-gun attorney.
contact Attorney Cassidy today at 810-569-5441 or email him at attorneycassidy@gmail.com.
And now, back to the Gunsmiths.
All right. And we're back.
We're laughing. We're have several conversations going on right now, but we are doing the Gunsmith Show right now, so let's stick with it.
This is the Gunsmith Show. It's the final part of the show this week, and we're going to talk about our range time we've had over the past 14 days. And,
There you go.
and
We've had some good time at the range.
we have, and
And-
different types of ranges.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of shooting, and Jake, you got a chance to do some good outdoor shooting, high-powered
Yes.
rifles,
In
and
thigh-deep snow and about 6 degrees. So
the extreme conditions for
Extreme
high-powered
conditions.
rifle hunting.
Yes.
Were you going after a moose, an elk? What was it you were going
well, it was
after?
actually a target.
A target,
So,
a target.
at about 50 yards. So
Okay, and how'd it go?
fairly well.
Were you precise? Were you accurate? Or
No, what I
precise?
did was I had a rifle with iron sights, and I had placed some clay pigeons out across a backdrop out at about 50 yards, so 150 feet, say. And I liked using clay pigeons because you know when you've hit one.
Well, yeah, in the white snow, a nice orange
In the
clay
white
pigeon.
snow, it's easy to see.
Right.
They sit right on top of the snow perfectly. If the snow's packed, you set them on top, and it's a
Right.
perfect target.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked well.
Now you were at a large outdoor range far to the north of here.
Yes.
That was a huge backstop of earth.
Right.
Yeah. So you were practicing safe shooting.
Yes.
But it wasn't like you're out in the backyard shooting high powered rifles.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not shooting into the ground behind the neighbor's garden.
Right. But we're just to clarify, responsible gun owners.
We had both a new, a very old 30-06, but new to us. It had to be fired, and iron sights
Had to be.
Had to be.
It
fired.
was saying, "Fire me, Jake Smith. Fire
well,
me."
and I just read it yesterday how you hang around any gun shops, any gun clubs long enough, you're bound to have a rack of those. When's the last time I fired that
Oh, sure.
rifles or handguns?
Right.
And this was one of those. When's the last time that's been fired? Deserves to get out and get shot.
Sure. Clean that barrel out.
You got a chance to do that, and also we traded scopes on the 35 Whalen
Yes.
and had to sight that one back in. Now we used a Laser Max bore sighter
Yes.
at home before we had left, and I will say, with that laser sight, when I bore sighted it with a laser, it was dead on perfect at the range.
That's great.
And think of
Saves a lot of money.
the price of that laser and how much ammo that will save over the long run of having firearms with scopes on them.
Makes plenty of sense. Plenty of sense.
Plenty of sense to me.
Yeah.
So, but that was
Just one
just
of those useful tools in our repertoire.
two of the long guns. But tell us what we did. Tell everybody else what we did at the handgun range.
Well, you got a chance to shoot a GSG HKMP5 copy.
Oh, yes.
And unfortunately left the magazine at home, and that gun doesn't fire without a magazine.
I thought the magazine was in the case,
Well, hey, that was a little bit of a
but it's a safety feature. That gun will not fire without a magazine inserted into the gun.
The GSG MP522.
The 522s.
522s, yeah. Interesting gun, though, and very ergonomic. I mean, very comfortable gun to shoulder. Still haven't popped around through it yet, but maybe tonight. So we'll see. Now, we got a chance, at the Gunsmith Show, we reload everything we shoot except for 22 long rifles. We reload a lot. 9mm, 40s, 45s, 38s, 357s. I mean, just about everything we shoot, we reload. I don't believe there's a single round that we have that we don't have dies for that we reload, whether it be big guns, small guns, other
I think
than
you're safe to bet that.
22s. Now, when you look
Except the Nitro Expresses.
Yeah.
It's cheaper just to buy those new.
Yeah.
So,
No, but the point being, 45 ACPs is one of our most enjoyable guns to fire.
Yep.
We shoot them a lot, and we are constantly. We used to buy thousands and thousands of lead bullets, and we've started to switch over to more of the copper wash bullets or copper plated bullets, Barry's bullets, Rainier bullets, these different brands. And we loaded up a couple thousand 45s with a 200 grain round nose through Rainier, which is a plated bullet company. Enjoyable to shoot, easy to use. You don't get the lead on your hands when you're working with them and handling them. And they shoot good. They shoot clean. Keeps the barrels a little cleaner. Don't get much lead on you. Don't get much lead spray back. So you're talking a 200 grain round nose bullet going about 900 feet per second out of a 1911.
yes.
So they're not wimpy loads. They're not, barn burners. They're not huge, powerful rounds. They are comfortable to shoot. It makes the 45 recoil the way it should, and they are pretty accurate rounds. The guns we use are accurate. Are I would say they're precise guns for 45s.
Yep.
And a lot of people think a 1911 45 is can't hit the broadside of a barn with them. I've heard it 100 times in my life, but I'm telling you what, when they're properly held and properly used, they usually work well.
So we fired them out of both SIGs, 1911s.
Yeah, SIG 1911s
And also an FNX
X,
45.
which is the FNX 45. Both of them worked flawlessly. The one thing you got to watch if you do any reloading is that you make sure you properly seat the bullet so that the bullet doesn't hit the lands of the rifling in your barrel and doesn't allow a semi-automatic handgun to properly close. That mechanism of that gun, that action has to close properly. And as you go through the processes, you need to have a dial caliper so that you know the length of your gun. Make sure that you've got everything exactly the way you want it, but then you still need to test it in a test barrel to make sure it goes in all the way into the chamber.
Yep.
So the bullet will fully chamber, the shell will fully chamber. So, but the FN and the 1911s all worked very good. We put about 500, I think we went through about 500 rounds of 45. But then, Jake, you said, hey, I got a 9mm I need to shoot. I haven't shot it in a couple months. So you pulled out your Beretta 92 FS.
Yes.
And as always, flawless. Just a darn good gun.
It is.
They do work. There's a reason why the military picked them up.
That's what I was just going to say. There's a reason why they're still used by police forces across the world, by military forces across the world.
They work well. If you, and you, just as a joke, you put that post yesterday on our Facebook page with a picture of a Beretta with a red line across it banning guns. And you said, whew, Good thing I don't carry a Beretta, and I knew it was kind of a pun, but it was funny. Now the Berettas, the ergonomics of a Beretta are wonderful. They are. I like them. I used to think they were too big back in the 70s when I first started handling them. I thought, yeah, it's a thick gun, but it's a 15 round.
Now you get in you've got a double stacked 45, and you realize it's nice to hold a Beretta.
It is, and as my hands got bigger too, I think I can. I hold them better. They are still too big for some people's hands. So, everybody has a fit and feel for what they need. You might, if you want a Beretta, you might want to go into one of the Cheetah line, the 380 line, which is a smaller version. Similar action, smaller version, very good guns. Very good guns. And you just don't see them. You'd think that gun would be more popular. That 380 version, kind of the downsized version.
You would think it would be more popular.
Model 84.
I think maybe it's just there's not that many around anymore.
Beautiful guns. And
or maybe the key is that they're concealed and you don't see them.
Well, it could be. A good friend of mine texted me the other day saying, I'm going to Flushing Pistol Club Sunday to start my CPL class, and she's a former police officer, and she said, "Do you have a revolver that you could meet me there and let me use at the range?" And I said, "Well, you've got a 380. Why don't you just use it?" She goes, "Well, I've never fired it." I said, so you need some range time, She goes, "Well, I'm very familiar with revolvers. I'd like to use a revolver," and it makes sense, because you want to go with what you know. I even back 15 years ago when I did my first CPL class, I took my 38 6-shot revolver.
Yep.
And went through the first day of the class at Flushing Pistol with that. And when I came back for the actual combat line, when we're shooting for realsies, that's when I carried my 45 at the time, which was an Astra A80. And a double action 45 that I did carry, concealed, good gun. So you got to go with what you're comfortable with. When you're just shooting paper, you have shooting paper guns.
Yep.
But when you're going to really do the what you got to do with a concealed gun, you got to have you got to have a concealed gun. You got to have it concealable for one thing. So those big rubber grips might not be an option for you. Those smoother sided grips. Maybe you don't have the clip or the magazine that has the big tail on it because it sticks out and protrudes from your shirt or blouse. Right. So you got to be careful when you're doing CPLs.
Yes.
So and when you're carrying. So anyways, we could talk about CPLs and handling handguns day and night. So, but it's time for us to get out of here because Mike Gaylord's ready to come in.
That's right. Everything Class coming up next. If you want to get a hold of us during the week, do so a couple different ways. We're on Facebook at The Gunsmith Show, Twitter at Gunsmith Show. Also, you can send us a letter, email shooter@thegss.com, or The Gunsmith Show, P.O. Box 45, Flushing, Michigan, 48433. Until next week, I'm Jake.
And I'm John. Shoot straight and shoot often, everybody. God bless America. See you next week, same time, same place.